Welcome to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Community Report 69 for Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic. This was released on the 6th of March 2023. Now, apologies that it doesn't seem that 3 Division have managed to get their normal website up. So we're stuck with the community report in Steam, which means a lot of the pictures and the text in the pictures is quite small. But hopefully we'll be able to see what is really necessary. If possible, what I'll try and do is zoom in on anything that's of really great interest. But that out of the way, let's just get started. It says, "Greetings, dear comrades of the Soviet Republic. March is here, and our glorious sewing machines have left their farms to do their job as is each year. We do not need to be afraid of snow for at least half a year, despite it's not the same in real life. But as it is in the game, even in real life, things may happen according to schedule. But in certain period passes, you can expect things to be done even without any special intervention, despite ongoing efforts to resolve issues. Because of this, we have calendars, and we are so aware of the dates in them. But often we are happy that certain period of time is over." So I think this first paragraph is a kind of a sideways look at the current situation to do with the copyright dispute, which, as far as I know, has been resolved, and hopefully the devs will now be able to focus on delivering what is obviously the new update, which is going to include the waste disposal mechanic. So moving down, it says, "So as the time is going, our effort is focused mainly on waste management update, but we are working on other things besides them, which will bring you extraordinary challenges and change the way how you will play, especially when you will have to rely on your construction, technical and distribution offices to do these jobs." Interesting statement. "For the recent things we are working on, we have to mention that we needed to add a couple of things to waste management. One of them was visualization and animation of the waste upload." So what we got here is a couple of pictures of I presume a central waste storage processing area. It's got like the skips here with different materials on. You can see they've actually changed the textures on the materials. But we are also working on GUI to allow you to see how the container stands are filling up. You'll also be able, for some container stands, after doing some research, select container types for separation. So obviously there's going to be a research element that when you first start out, you're just going to have mixed waste and you won't be able to separate things. You're going to need to do research to bring in. Now, in these next couple of pictures, the text is very small, but across the top, you've got a general area called mixed waste. And then below that, you've got the various subdivisions. I can see construction waste, mixed metals. I can see construction waste, metal scrap, aluminium scrap, and plastic waste in the top one. We go down to the next one. I think this is just a repeat as well, but I'm assuming that if you've got the effectively recycling, the other separate bins will fill up over time, which is pretty cool actually. And so down to the next paragraph, it says, "And be aware that container stands can be overfilled and then you will have waste lying everywhere. This situation will cause pollution in the air. You can see on the images the visualization of the default containers, which every building has, but don't need to build container stands as every building will have its own container. But in most cases it's useful to sacrifice some space to use container stands." Now, before we look at the pictures, I think that is quite an important statement. So effectively every building will have its own waste kind of store. That would be, I'm assuming, would be the equivalent of the waste water storage. And of course, when that fills up, then you get the message saying that the building is polluted. So there's a kind of two-step process there. You need to get the waste out of the buildings, but I assume that you need to build one of these. So it worked like the water and sewage, that buildings within range of one of these will then automatically empty their waste into that area. But if you've got a small town, I'm assuming that what you'll be able to do is send trucks in. So that would be the equivalent of a local rubbish collection service, where the trucks will go around the different buildings, picking the rubbish up and taking it to the storage. So that looks quite intriguing. I'm assuming the top one, it's a bit difficult to tell, is one that's overflowing and hasn't been collected. And then the one below shows one that's actually been kind of cleaned up and is working normally. That's quite intriguing as well. Obviously, making sure the waste doesn't pile up is going to be a very important feature of this update. So we're just going to move down again. It says another thing we were focusing was the visualization of the differences in waste composition. The waste can have up to 10 different components. So we want to show that the player roughly what the main components of the waste may be, allow them to differentiate it between different compositions and help them decide what they want to do with what type of waste. So looking at this picture here, I think you can see that we've got waste storage and it's got a slightly different color. What does intrigue me is that it's going to have up to 10 different components. I think waste could get very complicated very quickly. And that's going to prove an interesting challenge. And below here, it actually says on the screen, for example, you can see graphics representing the different ratio of mixed waste containing plastic waste and metal scrap. So I don't know if you can actually see the text in the small pop-ups where the red arrows are on under each of these menu items. And I'm just trying to get in very close and see if I can read the pop-up. The first one says metal scrap 16%, plastic waste 30%. The second one says metal scrap 20%, plastic waste 50%. And then the final one says metal scrap 50%, plastic 20%. So it goes to show that the color will change according to the mixture of the items within those containers. That's going to be very interesting. It's also the fact that I was half expecting the waste will have a fixed ratio. So obviously the ratios will change. Now that could be down to the fact of if you're recycling, you'll be taking out, say, the metal or plastic, or probably more realistically, if you're dumping into here and say you get a deposit of metal scrap, that will increase the percentage. That is going to be very interesting and very confusing. So we're just going to move down to the next paragraph. It says, also, we've made some changes for graphics of road with sidewalks. Now more realistic asphalt sidewalk, and we have removed the white lines from the asphalted areas under buildings. White line was replaced by curb. We're also planning to add asphalt panel footpaths. Ooh, I don't know if I can highlight that. Now that's going to be very interesting, especially if it increases the walking distance. That means that the distance you can put buildings apart will become quite different. That could be very intriguing. I think also, and I'm going to go way out on a limb here, I think this could be a beginning of a segue to possibly cycle paths. Although I'm not suggesting how that mechanic would actually be implemented. Now the picture, the red arrow on the picture is highlighting the edge of the actual building here, and then below that you can actually see we've got proper walkways here now, and I'm hoping that maybe I don't know if this is the overhead lit road, not the normal asphalt road, which is the top picture. Yeah, I mean you can actually see that the footpaths look a lot more realistic. To be honest, maybe if when this comes out, I might be a bit more inclined to put lit streets in. Oh well, that's something. So that's something to look forward to. And down to the final paragraphs, it says that are some of the things we are working on, but we can also mention a couple of things we are developing about which we will inform you in upcoming reports. You may get more in the next big update than you expected, because we are working on a couple of interesting features from which we want to mention: maintenance, building demolition, mods incorporation, research programs for university, and fertilizing fields. Now that's a very interesting list. Maintenance, I'm not sure what maintenance would be. Does that mean that you're going to have building maintenance, or the one that springs to mind is road maintenance? So maybe you're going to have to get a road maintenance crew if you get a heavy road that needs to be repaired. Now that could be an interesting mechanic, because if you've got a road that has to be repaired and it's closed off, and that's your only road between 2 points, especially if that's a key resource delivery, that could be very interesting. And then mod incorporation. I like the idea of mod incorporation, because I certainly would like to see some of the really good mods that are available added to the game so that all players can use them. Also, I still feel that the range of residential buildings in the base game needs expanding, and I think if they could integrate some of the residential mods into the base game would be really good. And then of course we got the research program for universities, which they've already hinted at, and then again a really big one here, fertilizing for fields. Now that would be really good if we could actually add fertilizer to fields. That adds another completely different system, because of course if you've got your farming areas, then you've got cities on the other side of the map. You're going to have to move your fertilizer over, and it'd be interesting to see whether that will be moved, say, in a similar way to cement, or rather than actually as treated as an aggregate. But again, that's pure speculation. So just go through the outro. Says, we hope that you are interested in these game features we are working on. They may become a major complication for some of you, as they can bring you additional challenges and limitations. More about them in the future. Until you then, enjoy life, have fun, and stay tuned for the next report. Okay, guys, that is a very interesting report. It shows that things are moving forward, and we're going to get a lot more in the next update than just waste management. So that has implications for my current series, but I'm not going to talk about it here. This is where I'm going to leave it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it interesting. Any observations or comments, feel free to chuck it into the comments and we'll have a chat about it. So until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.